Hello everyone and welcome to 1923 Main Street.
Home of the Daddy-Daughter Disney Travel Podcast. We are your hosts.
I am Mike Belle Braddock.
And I'm Amelia Belle Braddock. And today we are going to be talking about the best places to meet Disney princesses.
At Walt Disney World. Meeting princesses is usually a part of most people's Walt Disney World vacation plans, and on my travel blog, the Disney princess posts are always in the top 10 for each year. So we thought on this episode we would go through all the places and different ways that you can meet the princesses at Walt Disney World. Some are meet and greets, some are dining, and
attractions, which you wouldn't think, but there are some. Well, one, I should say.
There is one. So where do you want to start? We're going to go through, maybe at the end, if we have time, we'll pick our favorites. But for now, why don't we start with meet and greets?
Yeah.
And we'll go park by park. So I'm going to say one thing up front. Is that okay?
Yep.
So at the time of recording, these are accurate. However, occasionally they do change around which princesses are where. So just bear that in mind before you go anywhere. Double check on DisneyWorld.com to see what is the most current princess lineup. They don't change that often, but they do change sometimes. Okay, let's dive right in.
Okay, so we said we'd start with meet and greets. So there are a bunch of different meet and greets in some different parks, but we'll start off with the Magic Kingdom. And the first one that we're going to talk about, I think we've put these in alphabetical order.
Well, what I was going to say is there are a total of 8 different meet and greets available in the Magic Kingdom.
And now first...
We'll go by princess.
Yeah, so the first meet and greet is Ariel. And surprise, surprise, you can meet her in Ariel's Grotto. You don't have to go on the ride, I don't believe.
No, you do not. It's right beside her ride in Fantasyland. There's a separate entrance.
Mm-hmm. But it is a fun experience to go on both, because then you come off learning about her story and then you get to meet her.
Yeah, and she's sitting inside her shell, I think, in there.
Yes.
So that's Ariel is in the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Next.
Ooh, and just one more thing before we move on. The really cool thing about Ariel and this thing is that she's in her mermaid form, because in most she's in a pretty dress.
Yes, that's a good point. She's in her mermaid form.
Next, we have Cinderella, and she is in Princess Fairy Tale Hall. And there are a few other princesses that are on our list that are also in Princess Fairy Tale Hall.
So Princess Fairy Tale Hall is located right behind the castle and right just in front of or across from, however you look at it, the carousel. And the way it works there is the princesses are in twos. So there's 2 entrances. This is one that, when I was talking about princesses changing, this is one that does change occasionally. So right now, the current pairing is Cinderella
and Elena of Avalor from the TV show on Disney Junior. And I believe also...
the second pairing...
Yep, is Rapunzel and Tiana.
That's correct. So at Princess Fairy Tale Hall, you would pick one of those... You get to meet 2 princesses for one lineup, basically, is how it works. They're in separate rooms. It's actually quite nice in there. It's really nice. That's where Snow White's Scary Adventures used to be, so we lost that attraction and they put in Princess Fairy Tale Hall. Yep. There's a total of 4 princesses there, and they're in twos.
All right, so next up we have Jasmine, and she is in a sort of, it's not like a building.
It's in Adventureland in Agrabah.
Yeah.
And she is with her prince.
Aladdin.
Yes. Usually when she's there, and that's right near the Magic Carpet ride in Adventureland. It's an outdoor meet and greet, so if it's raining, that one would probably be out of limits. Mm-hmm. And I believe, there's one more. So those are the princesses that are in meet and greets. And now there is one who is an attraction. Oh, sorry. You're allowed to talk, Amelia, instead of pointing.
Okay, so I just wanted to point out, because I'm not sure if you missed it.
And I think it's your favorite one, too.
And it is my favorite straight-up princess attraction that's just a meet and greet, that's not an, attraction or dining. And that would have to be Merida, and this is in Fairy Tale Garden. And it used to be Rapunzel, so these do change. But Meredith's been there for the past 5-6 years.
Yeah, she's been there for quite a while. And Fairy Tale Garden is sort of in a hidden location if you don't know it. There's a path that leads off of Cinderella Castle over towards Tomorrowland, over towards Starlight Rays, and just down from the Cinderella Fountain. And it's an outdoor meeting behind a big gate, and people will line up on the pathway that leads into that.
Yeah.
There is no fast pass for this one. There are fast passes for some of them.
Yeah, but it does, like, it's somewhat busy, but it's not very well known, so typically there's not too much of a crowd there. So if you do want to check that out, I highly recommend it.
Actually, I would disagree. There's a long line up there. In fact, if we want to go to that, we generally go there right from rope drop as soon as the park opens to be the first in line, which we've been a few times.
So there is a fairly long line in the morning, but by around lunchtime it starts to shorten a bit, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. So that is it for Princess Meet and Greets in the Magic Kingdom. And next up
But there's one more in the Magic Kingdom. Why don't we just do it while we're here? It's not a meet and greet.
And I was just going to say that.
All right.
So this is not a meet and greet, but this is actually an attraction, and it is the one and only princess attraction, and this is Enchanted Tales with Belle, and it is right next to the Beast Castle, or incredibly close to it.
This is a good one. This is one of my favorites. So this is an attraction, and it's... you line up like you would for an attraction. There is a fast pass for it. You go through into Maurice's cottage and you see some of Belle's things at first. Then you walk through a magic mirror, which is really cool effect.
Yeah. And
the way this one works is, I don't want to give away too much of the show, I guess. We don't like to tell everything on this one. But what they do is from each group of people who go in, they select certain people to be part of the show, and if you are selected as those people, you will meet Belle.
Mm-hmm. So this is not a guaranteed you're gonna meet Belle, but there is, like, if you're a younger child, there's probably a pretty good chance.
Yeah, the way they
selected that was...
We were talking about this yesterday, and I said, well, if you're of princess meeting age, and then Amelia laughed.
What's princess meeting age?
So what I was trying to get at is, when you're in there and they're selecting people to be in the play that is going to surprise Belle. Actually, I've been selected every single time we've gone in there, but I'm always selected as a palace guard.
Way not to brag, Daddy.
And you're sort of hidden by a mask. They usually select a couple of dads typically for the palace guards, but most of there's how many roles? Maybe 7 or 8 or so.
Yeah.
Are kids. Mm-hmm. So there's a pretty good chance if you have a young child in your group that they'll get selected. And everyone who's on that stage to be part of the play,
I have a funny story.
does actually get to meet Belle. What's your funny story?
Okay, so when I was little and they were like picking parts.
Oh yeah, this is when it first opened. It was our first time in there back in 2012 or 13.
Oh, so your palace guard reputation has been, 3-5 times around there?
Yes.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's a lot. But so my first time in there, I was chosen to be the Beast, but I wanted to be Belle because,
So Amelia I didn't want to spoil it for her, and she didn't understand. So we were lined up. So you would have been how old then? 5?
Oh, yeah.
She was probably 5 years old then.
Maybe even.
I think 5. 4 or 5. And so they picked her and they said, "You're the Beast." And Amelia started scowling at me, and they gave her the cape. And she was looking like I don't want to be the Beast. And I was I didn't want to give it away, but I sort of had to tell her. I said, "Amelia, the Beast dances with Belle." So the Beast, if you have a young child and they get chosen as the Beast, it is the best role. You want to be the Beast. So, luckily, I got to whisper that quickly to her before they took away. If someone's crying, they're not going to let them do the role. But I got to her quickly enough in front of the group there so that she stayed as the Beast, and that was a really good experience. So Enchanted Tales with Belle, really good. It's really good even if you don't get picked, but just in terms of a meeting, I'd put a little asterisk beside it. And I also want to say one other thing about the Magic Kingdom before we move on.
Yep, go ahead.
There are some of these are not even listed on the Disney official site, but they still exist, such as Jasmine's in Adventureland. And there's another one with Snow White in Town Square, over by Town Square Theater. She may or may not still show up there, so just keep your eyes peeled for some of those. I'm not giving her as an official one that's known, but we have met her there a few times, quite a few times actually, and that's right as you walk into the park on your right side, right at the end of the area right in front of the, just past Town Square and across from the hat store. So those are the Magic Kingdom meet and greets. And it is the most of any park. As we go down, there'll be fewer and fewer in each park. And there's one park with no princess meet and greets, or one with another asterisk. So let's move on to the next popular park for princess meet and greets, which is
Epcot.
And who do we find at Epcot?
All right, so should I list them?
Well, actually, Epcot does it smartly by princesses related to the countries their stories are from. Yeah, so go through them.
So they take place in World Showcase, obviously, because they're countries. So number 1, we have Elsa and Anna, and you guessed it, it takes place in Norway.
And even though people will say, technically Elsa's not a princess, we can include her in the princess meet and greet.
Well, you're meeting Anna, and Elsa just happens to be there.
They happen to
Put
be
it
together.
that way.
And that's in the summer house there in Norway Pavilion. Let's move around. If we move around World Showcase in order, next up would be the China Pavilion. And who do we meet there?
Mulan.
Yeah, that's a good one too. And she's right out front. They'll have meeting time. So for these ones, they're not like Princess Fairy Tale Hall in the Magic Kingdom, which is ongoing. These ones have specific times. So there's usually a little sign outside that'll tell you what time they're going to be up here, so people will typically start lining up, before that time. So they'll have a few times during the day when they're going to be out there. That's how the Epcot ones work. Mm-hmm. Let's see, who's next down the line would be the Germany Pavilion.
Which is Snow White.
Yes, so Snow White is in the Germany Pavilion. You will meet her there.
She's German?
The story takes place in Germany, yes.
You learn new things every day. All right, so next up,
let's see, who's next up in order?
Jasmine from Morocco.
Yes, so moving around World Showcase, you will hit Morocco, and Jasmine will be there. And then, I'm not sure if we've actually stayed to meet Jasmine there. We typically meet Jasmine at one of the dining events that we'll talk to, or in the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah,
but
have we met Jasmine? I think maybe once or twice.
But the next one is my personal favorite World Showcase meeting. And that is
Belle
in France.
And Belle actually has her peasant, not peasant, but her peasant dress.
Her casual wear.
Her
blue dress.
Her blue and white dress.
Yeah, that's why I like meeting Belle there. She's out close to the water, in between one of the boulevards where the trees are and the wrought iron fence next to the World Showcase Lagoon. So yeah, she's in her casual wear under a tree, and it's fun to meet Belle there. It's great to see her in that outfit. So Epcot is pretty good in World Showcase. Again, watch for the times on the signs.
Yep. All right. So moving on to our next park, we have Animal Kingdom.
And there's a total of how many princesses there?
1.
And I think this may be my favorite of the princess meet and greets, because I really like this princess, and also it's sort of one of the coolest ones, and I think it's almost one of the most unknown ones. And that is
Pocahontas.
Yes, so meeting Pocahontas in Animal Kingdom makes a ton of sense. And she is down a pathway towards the Tree of Life.
Yeah, and what's really cool about that is a lot of people actually don't know about Pocahontas. And then we tell people, and they're like, what? Pocahontas is in Animal Kingdom? I had no idea. And it's actually one of my favorites because, as it's probably not my favorite, but I do really like that it's actually not very crowded because a lot of people don't know about it, and Pocahontas is so nice to meet. Yeah,
she's super to meet, and it's down a path. It's if you're coming in from the front from Discovery Island, it's towards Africa. So if you take a left and you go down the path, and it's fairly close to the bridge into Africa on your right. But just ask someone there if you don't see the signs. And yeah, Pocahontas in Animal Kingdom is very, very fun to meet. So watch for that one.
Yeah.
And then poor Hollywood Studios.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no princesses there, but
Well,
sort of.
I count this one as a princess.
Yes, if you have younger kids, especially who like Disney Junior.
Sophia the First.
Sorry, Sophia the First does have a meet and greet in Hollywood Studios, but that is it. There are no face princesses, as they're called in in Hollywood Studios.
Oh, I have another funny story for this one.
Yeah, what's your funny story for this one?
Well, this was the first time that Sophia was available, I think.
But that's a Disneyland story.
Oh, yeah, but it's like in Disneyland's version of Hollywood Studios. This was, I think, even before the world got her.
Yes, it was before she was at Disney World.
Yeah, so this is the first time she was available anywhere, and we were in Disneyland, and we were in a shop, and I saw Sophia, and I just like ran outside to go see her.
Yeah, this good way to lose your kid. Amelia bolted out of the store, but I happened to catch a glimpse of Sophia because she was just walking by on her way to her meet and greet spot. And Amelia did actually catch her, and we got the photos. She got to meet her. But yeah, she's the only one at Hollywood Studios.
Yes. All right. So that about covers it for meet and greets and attractions.
So the next option is more quality time, and we're getting into dining with the Disney princesses. And there's
a decent amount.
There are 6 of them.
Yeah,
6 ways that you can spend some money, have a meal, and meet Disney princesses.
So the cool thing about this is there's a variety of different meals. There's breakfast things, there's dinner things, and one has all 3, I think, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's available that we talked about in our last episode. And one, I don't even think it's a specific meal. It's just it's an afternoon snack sort of thing.
All right, so let's start with the classic.
Cinderella's Royal Table.
We talked about this in our episode of Interactive Dining, so we are fans of Cinderella's Royal Table. And the way that works is they do also rotate the princesses through there. Obviously, you will meet Cinderella, but you meet her as you enter on the ground floor inside the castle. She greets you. You take your photos with Cinderella, and then you ascend the spiral staircase up to the dining room. And they do change them. There will you will always meet 5 princesses in total. Well, unless they change that. But every time we've gone for the last however long it's been open, there have been 5 princesses, Cinderella, and 4 others. As far as I know, most recently we've met Ariel,
Aurora,
Jasmine,
and Snow White. So
Aurora, this is there's not as many meanings for her. I mean, this is, as far as I know right now, the only place you can meet her in the Magic Kingdom. Now that could change, but so that's Cinderella's Royal Table. It is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is a classic. We enjoy it.
Yeah.
There is a similar one to that over in Epcot, and that is Akershus.
Oh, yes.
Also in Norway. And this is another one where you will meet 5 princesses, and they typically are
Snow White, Cinderella, Belle, Aurora, and Ariel. So if you're keen to meet Belle in a dining experience, I do recommend this one because you don't, I believe, meet Belle at Cinderella's Royal Table.
Not typically, because she's across the way there in her Enchanted Tales. However, I am not... this is one of those polarizing ones, Akershus versus Cinderella's Royal Table. I am not a fan personally of Akershus. I don't love the food there. It is sort of Norwegian style, It may or may not appeal to your kids. But I would say that the princess quality is higher in the castle. Let me just say that. Yeah. In terms of the princess players. So,
but if you do want to meet Belle,
and it just may work to your schedule. I mean, it's a nice one as well. So don't get me wrong. If it happens to work better in your itinerary to have that one in that park, it is a good bang for the buck. There are 5 princesses there.
Yes.
All right, let's go to this rather unique one.
No. So
you want to go to that?
Okay. To the end. Okay. Save the best for last. So this one is another Cinderella experience.
There are quite a few Cinderella experiences.
She is incredibly popular. A lot of people do like to meet her. and she is one of the original Disney princesses that Walt Disney created, not the first, but one of the first. And this is
the Happily Ever After dinner that takes place in the Grand Floridian at 1900 Park Fair.
Yes, so this includes Cinderella, Anastasia, Drizella, and Lady Tremaine.
And sometimes they mix it up here as well. Sometimes Lady Tremaine's not there, but the fairy godmother is there.
Or have we met Prince Philip there?
Yes, and sometimes Prince Philip's there too. So you're always going to meet Cinderella and the sisters, the stepsisters, as far as our experience goes. But
you will always meet Cinderella. So if you're going to see Cinderella, don't worry.
But they do mix it up there a little bit as well, which is sort of fun. It's not always exactly the same, and that's a good one. It's a nice buffet, all you care to enjoy dinner in that Grand Floridian 1900 Park Fair.
Yes. So
then there are a couple of newer ones.
Yes, and in these ones there are actually a few less princesses. So if you do want to meet a lot of princesses, maybe go with the first few. But these ones are still good if you like to meet princesses.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
So I think we could talk about the Bon Voyage Adventure Breakfast next.
Okay, so that takes place. This is sort of new. It's maybe a year or two old. I can't remember exactly when it launched, but it takes place on the boardwalk at the Boardwalk Resort in Trattoria al Forno.
And this includes Ariel and Rapunzel.
And they're princes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So you'll meet two princesses at this, and this is a breakfast only. And it's a really popular one. Mm-hmm. So that's a good one if you're in that area. Definitely recommend that.
And it's good if you do have boys as well, because, typically they might get a little bit bored with the 5 princesses.
Yeah. 5? You mean
ones.
If you go to the other places. Gotcha.
Yes.
And then even the newest one of all is the Storybook Dining. And that takes place at Wilderness Lodge in Artist Point, which is a really nice, fine dining room. And this is a dinner.
With Snow White.
Yes, and her dwarfs are with her at that one. Yeah. So
dwarfs?
That's a really, really popular new one. It's a pretty good restaurant. We like that one as well. So if you're a Snow White fan, or it works in your itinerary, that's definitely a good one to go to as well.
Yeah. And
now Amelia wanted to save her final one, her favorite one, till the end.
So this is not a breakfast, lunch, or dinner. This is an afternoon snack or a tea, and this is Perfectly Princess Tea with Aurora. This is a beautiful experience. It's one of my favorite Disney dining experiences, and I gotta say, the Disney's Grand Floridian, where it is a great place for dining. You have Perfectly Princess Tea, you have Victoria and Albert. It's becoming quite the restaurant area.
And there's a lot of construction as we're recording this going on there, but it is still going. The Perfectly Princess Tea, it's probably the most expensive of all of these. It's not an inexpensive event, afternoon tea. You do walk away with a fair boatload of gifts, I would say. But it is it's not light on your budget, but it is a really good experience. And here's your little tip for this episode that a lot of people don't know. As part of it, so this is Aurora, and we were talking about not many opportunities, but she is at this one. And after the event, they do a princess promenade around the Grand Floridian lobby, starting on the second floor, typically outside of M Mercantile, the Mickey store.
Yeah.
But you don't have to actually be attending the tea party to take part in that walk. But what I was getting at is, if you're in the Grand Floridian, if you're staying there, this is not something that is also widely publicized, is that Princess Promenade. So your little one can have a chance to still meet with Aurora. It's sort of like a conga line that they all meet up.
Yeah.
There's a little sign posted in case it moves around, but it's best just to ask at the front desk about the Princess Promenade. It's usually around 3 p.m. or 3:30, something like that in the afternoon. So even if you're not at the Perfectly Princess Tea, still take advantage of that great little hidden gem opportunity to meet Aurora and, promenade around the luxurious Grand Floridian Resort and Spa.
Yeah.
All right, so that is all of them.
Yeah, I believe that covers it.
I think we've covered them all. So there are lots of opportunities. And again, I'll post in the show notes all these so you can have them in a nice one spot where everything is. And now we have a few minutes left, so do we want to go for our favorites or our recommended?
Yes.
So let's start with our recommended in the meet and greets.
All right. So recommended in the meet and greets, I recommend the Merida is my favorite Disney meet and greet spot. It has always been my favorite, even when Rapunzel was there. I just love that spot. I think it's a great area, and there are things to do in the line as well. So if you have impatient little kids, me.
It's a pretty well themed.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. You don't just walk up and meet them. There's a whole big area where they even let you do little drawings and stuff while you're waiting in line. So it's a well themed area, and it was Rapunzel. I actually liked it better when it was Rapunzel before Merida.
Really?
Yeah, but maybe I like them both. But it's a good spot. Mm-hmm. My favorite there is going to be Princess Fairy Tale Hall. Right now, I'd go to the Cinderella Elena of Avalor side, but I just like Princess Fairy Tale Hall. It's really cool. The glass slipper in a case and all that sort of stuff. So it's really nice inside, and each of their rooms are really nice. You'll get great photos in there.
Yeah.
There are PhotoPass photographers there, but of course you can take your own, and it looks really regal. So it's a great place.
You want to explain to me what regal means real quick?
Royal. It looks very rich and royal, like you're in a castle. That's what regal means.
I knew that.
At Epcot, I like Belle.
Yeah, me too.
Now, for the dining.
For the dining, I know I just said this, but the Perfectly Princess tea, my top.
Yeah, now, I have to admit, I did not go. Amelia and her mom went to that. I peeked in, I saw the photos, but I let that be a girls' day. When they went most recently. I have not been to that, but you can see it from the lobby, and of course I saw the pictures and it looks great, and you get some really nice gifts for the rather costly event that it is. But in terms of the dining, for me it's still Cinderella's Royal Table. We talked about this in another episode for
It's
Interactive.
definitely a classic.
It's a classic. I like being in the castle. I just think it's really cool. The dining room's nice. You meet 5 princesses. I find the food to be good, so that's one I would highly recommend if you're on the edge. If you're trying to decide between that and Akershus, personally, I would go with that. Yeah. No question for me. You can read
regal look.
Yes. Well, it's a castle.
I'm going to use that word now.
You'll read all sorts of opinions, but for me, hands down, Cinderella's Royal Table. Never had an issue there. Love it.
Me too. I've never had an issue, and it's a fantastic experience, so I completely recommend it.
And there you have it, folks.
Wait, what's your favorite attraction?
Well, with the choice of one.
Choice of one.
Enchanted Tales with Belle. It is good, though. I would also recommend that. I think that, I would almost say, if there's an undervalued attraction, it is Enchanted Tales. It's really cool. It's neat because it truly is an attraction. You're sitting watching sort of a live story, but people are part of it. So it's interactive. It's different. It's not a ride, that's for sure. But there's some really cool Disney magic in the mirror when you go through that magic mirror.
We won't spoil too much,
We won't
definitely
spoil it.
Try it out.
Definitely, yeah. If you're at all interested, do it.
All right, so I believe that about rounds out this episode.
Yeah, that's all we have for you today. So once again, thank you for listening and thank you for joining us here. As always, read the show notes. We'll have all the information there for you. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and find us on your favorite podcast player. So we hope you have a great day. Thanks for visiting us at 1923 Main Street.
Bye-bye.